How do you migrate data between Cosmos DB accounts? Imagine you have a collection of data in one Azure Cosmos database account, and you need to move it to another account. Maybe you're changing regions, upgrading your setup, or reorganizing your cloud resources. Whatever the reason, moving data between these accounts is a common task in cloud management. Let's walk through how you can do this smoothly and securely. First, one of the easiest ways is to use the Azure Cosmos Database Data Migration tool. This desktop application supports exporting data from your source account and importing it into your target account. To do this, you need the primary connection strings for both accounts, which you can get from the Azure portal or Azure command line interface. Once you have these, you set up the tool to read from your source database and write into the new one. This method works well for one-time migrations or batch transfers and supports different APIs like SQL or MongoDB. Another approach involves scripting with Azure command line interface or PowerShell. You can write scripts to create the necessary databases and containers on the target account. Then, you can use custom scripts or Azure functions to read data from the source and insert it into the target. This method is good if you want to automate the process or include it as part of your DevOps pipeline. It allows for more control and repeatability, especially when handling large datasets. If your goal is to move data between regions within the same account, Azure Cosmos Database offers a feature called relocation. This lets you shift data from one Azure region to another with minimal downtime. However, this feature does not support moving data between different accounts directly, so you would still need to export and import data if changing accounts is your goal. You can also consider backup and restore strategies. If your account uses continuous backup mode, you can restore data from a specific point in time into a new account or container. This is useful for precise data recovery or migration. Keep in mind that switching backup modes is a one-way process, and backup policies should be configured carefully. For more flexibility, you might write custom scripts or use Azure functions to export data into JSON or CSV files. These files can then be imported into the new account. This approach allows you to filter or transform data during migration, but it requires some development effort and testing. Some organizations prefer third-party tools or cloud-native services like Azure Data Factory. These tools can orchestrate complex data movements, especially when dealing with cross-cloud migrations or large-scale datasets. They can also help automate and monitor the process, making it more reliable. When planning your migration, keep in mind that the source and target accounts should use the same Cosmos Database API, such as SQL API or MongoDB API, to avoid compatibility issues. You also want to provision enough request units on the target to handle the data load without slowing down the process. Network security settings like virtual network endpoints or IP restrictions should be mirrored to maintain secure access. Timing is important too. To keep data consistent, you might need to put your application into read-only mode during the migration. Automating the process with scripts or Azure functions can help ensure it's repeatable and auditable. And remember, migration can incur costs, especially if you increase throughput or backup storage during the transfer. In the context of cloud platforms and DevOps, automating data migration between Cosmos database accounts is straightforward with tools like Azure CLI, PowerShell, Azure Functions, or Azure Data Factory. These tools help you create controlled, repeatable, and secure data transfers that fit into larger cloud migration projects. Always follow best practices for security, such as using managed identities and secure key management, to keep your data safe throughout the process.